How's it going, everybody? It's Matt again. Today we're going to take a look at another one of Magic Square's MP scaled Combaticons. This time it's going to be I believe the fourth in the series. I think after this we just need Blast Off. But it's going to be MS-06 Tornado, their MP Vortex. This is, of course, the upscaled version of their Legends, or the Legend scale version of this set. So I've already taken a look at that. So I liked all the other ones. We already know them. I'm going to like this one too. So there it is from the front of the box. And it is quite a large box, by the way. Much like the other ones, because it includes the big torso piece for the combiner, of course. But there's from the back. And from the side, top, all that good stuff. Not too much to talk about. It is indeed a box. But we're going to also come with the obligatory card, which I guess is nice. Nice credit card material. And we have a set of instructions it comes with. Decent enough. And of course, it's going to come with the big combiner chest and head section. Of course, you got the plate with, I believe, Onslaught, so that'll slot right on there on the front. But here's this big hollow chunk of plastic. It's interesting. Somebody did point out that they actually removed the butterfly joints, like what are on the Legend scale version, so his shoulders aren't going to be able to pivot forward and back, which is interesting that they chose to do that. But they are some really solid ratchets. But yeah, so it's pretty solid. He does unfortunately kind of have like the dead eyes a little bit with the visor, because I believe he has a light up feature. I haven't actually checked, but I think he has some kind of light up feature or something for the head, which I am not the biggest fan of, to be honest. I would rather it just be painted eyes, so I may just do that anyways. I've seen a couple of people that have like stickers or something that they can put on there to make it look a little bit better. But yeah, so there's the combiner torso, or the chest part. And of course, here he is. I didn't go over his accessories because they actually, most of them do integrate into the actual, the bot mode and the helicopter mode, like his little guns back here and the gun for the robot mode. But yeah, here it is in the helicopter mode, and it's a decent little helicopter. It's definitely like pulled directly out of the cartoon. It's not the most realistic looking thing in the world, but it is accurate for sure. The little rotor back here does spin, and the top rotor here does spin quite well, actually. Other than that, he's got his front landing gear and rear landing gear, so he can roll if you want him to. But yeah, it's a decent little helicopter, or large helicopter rather. It is MP scale. But yeah, so let's just take him straight into robot mode. To start off, what we're going to want to do is remove these back guns. Just pull them right off from either side. We'll set those aside for now. And then we're going to come back here in his little tail rotor. We're just going to rotate this around like so. And then the front rotor parts here, they're going to fold in half up here and tab in onto the undersides of the inner half parts of the rotors. Like this. And like that on all sides. We're just going to kind of collapse it a little bit just so it's kind of out of the way. Now what we're going to do is, let's just kind of get these parts out of the way. This section here, we're just going to take down, bring it down like this, and plug in like that. And then we're going to take from the back here, these sections will come up, and then this whole tail section is going to split in half on a couple of different spots, but there is a dovetail right here. So you want to make sure and kind of lift these sections up and then separate them like this so that little tab doesn't break. And then we're just going to split all this in half right down the middle, open it up, just kind of pull them out to the side. And then this section here, you're going to want to separate these because they slide onto this little rail. Pull that apart, and then this whole section will come down like that. And then you can take your gun out. It just kind of sits in there kind of loosely, but it does store in there. And now just going to take this part here. We'll go ahead and rotate these the other way. Separate these, pull these two tabs out, or panels out rather, on these two parts. And this is going to kind of come up like this on that pin and just kind of get out of the way. Now these parts here, you're going to kind of, it's kind of complicated to get it undone, but there's two little tabs here that it goes into, and then it dovetails right here into what will be this leg panel. So you need to kind of separate, oh, my bad. This panel here needs to come up first. So this whole section here, I might need to use my spudger. There. It untabs from these two tabs right here. So then this can kind of get out of the way, and now we have access to this. So now you kind of have to push forwards to get it to undo from that, and you have to pull away to get it to come off of that tab. So push forwards, pull away to get it to come off of there. Now this whole thing is just kind of splayed open. So this is going to rotate out on this little light gray piece, and then all of this, we're going to start collapsing this. So first, what we're going to want to do is this little tab here, push that in, and then this is actually on a slider. You want to pull it out, and then you're going to rotate this section in, then this section back. This panel will come back down. It'll look kind of like this. This little panel for the fins, or just kind of, I can't remember. I think it just sits aside for now. And then this whole panel is going to come up like this, and it'll flip into what will be the chest cavity. Go back here at the tail, put that up, that little landing gear up. This part will pull out, flip around. This will come back down. This little panel goes back up like this, like that, and then fold it under like that. And then this chest section, just going to lift this up, just kind of line it up with these tabs and just close it together. And then these panels here, they'll slide onto this section here like that, and then this panel will just close down, kind of completing the side of the chest like that. We're just going to kind of get the arms out of the way. All right, so now this part here, this can be kind of complex to get this to work. Kind of have everything out of the way because you want this panel to sit flush against these parts like that. And then these little panels can kind of come in underneath like this and kind of close in that part. And then this needs to kind of lift up and flip in, but you want this little kind of blade here to flip up into this section right like that, so that now you can bring this up and tab it in together like that. It's kind of weird how you have to manipulate all the parts back here, but once you get everything lined up, it just works. All right, so now for the legs. So first off, what we're gonna do is just split everything. There we go. We'll take the little gun piece out. And then all of this here, we're going to take these panels, and they're tabbed in along all these different places here. You're just going to kind of lift up off of all this, like this. And just kind of lift it up. It's on a double joint here. And just rotate it around. These panels here, you're going to push in to get it off this little dovetail. Then kind of push it in like this so that you can lift it up on this little gray kind of, I don't know what this is, swivel joint. And this little tab, or this panel here, will flip in, and then this will just kind of come down and just kind of leave it down for now until I remember what to do with it. And this, same thing, panel comes down, bring that off of that dovetail, flip it in, lift it up around, just kind of set it aside for now. All right, so now these big panels here are on sliders. So you're gonna wanna push up like this to get them out of the way. Just kind of rotate them to get them kind of away from everything. And then these panels here, kind of lift them up off of here. And then on the inner leg, you might have to open up the legs a little bit because they're going to come off of this kind of little tab here that flips out from the bottom of the crotch. Just go ahead and push that back in. And these panels here, you want to lift off of the thigh to unlock everything like that. And now this whole section here, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, just open up these panels. Of course, it can be kind of complicated to get all this undone. Yes. So this section here, you want to open all this up down here and flip this down. And then this little toe section is going to come out like this. We're going to flip it up to kind of get it out of the way for now. Same thing on the other side. Lift this up, open it up, that up, kind of get it out of the way. And then, let me see. Sorry about that. I see what I was missing. There's a tab in here. This section tabs in really tightly to this little rectangular groove right here. I'll pull that off of there and it frees this up so you can double joint it down like this. And then this section will flip down out of the way. You want to pull this little tab out. And then this whole thing is going to come down like this and rest up against here. And then this little tab right here is going to tab into the front of the kind of nose section of the helicopter like that. And then basically this panel, you want to pull that little thing out. It'll come forwards and it will tab in right here. And then this panel here, you unfolded this, it's going to come back down. Oh, actually, you want to put that first. So put that in that little dovetail there and then close that panel down. Then this little panel will close down here. Then this panel will come down and fit into that little groove right here. And this part will come up, rotate the black part of the foot around, bring this part up, and then flip this in and it will tab into the bottom of that section. And then the side panel here will just kind of lift back up and tab into a couple of different places, completing the leg. Actually, no, not quite. This panel needs to come down like this and tab in right here. There you go. Now completed a leg. Okay, so back over here, I know I kind of did everything all out of whack, but you need to open this part up. This panel comes undone, that opens up. And you want to pull off. It's very tight where it fits right here. Hopefully I don't have to get it off camera again. It's very, very tight. Come on. I'm gonna have to get off camera. There we go. Okay. I don't know why these are so tight to get into these little, or to get them out rather from these little clips, but I got it out. Took some force. Okay. So this section comes down. This rotates around. I want to open this up. Of course, pull these panels out. Tab it in to right there. Close that panel. Nope, something's not right. Something's not wanting to tab together correctly here. There we go. All right, flip that up. This panel comes down, pegs into there. Now this comes down like this, and that pegs in right there. This panel comes up, rotate the foot around, bring that down, push it in, and it locks in place. And this comes up, this panel comes down. And there we are. There are the legs. Now let's get the arms. So this part, I've seen a lot of people break this, so just be very careful with this. This panel, you have to have it rotated like this in order to open this panel. If you don't, this panel can snap, so just be careful. So leave it in this orientation. We're gonna go ahead and pull the fist out first. So when you pull up, see how it kind of like, this panel will angle in, that little notch. People have been saying they push too hard and they snap this whole thing off. So just be careful. And you're just gonna kind of take this, rotate the fist around, close it back up, and then go ahead and just unfold the arm. Easy peasy. thing. Open up the arm, rotate that around, close that back together, and pull this down. And then just a matter of rotating his head around and putting his rotor back how it was. And then there he is. There's Vortex. And I think he looks fantastic. This one might actually be my favorite out of the bunch, just from the looks. I've always kind of liked the look of Vortex anyways, but yeah, he looks pretty good. And the transformation it's not the most difficult thing in the world, but it's pretty decent. I will say that he does have quite a few little like screw holes just all over his back here, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But he's got really good proportions. Obviously, Magic Square is fantastic at nailing the Toon proportions. So if you are a Toon fan, then you'll probably be pretty happy with him. Of course, his gun here that we took the two parts of, this part you can just slide into the front of this, then pull the handle down, and then he has two little tabs here which you can fit into his hand. Open up his fingers and they will tab into that slot there, and he can hold it just fine. Speaking of accessories, these parts here, his little arm guns, you simply just want to tab the blue part into the side of the arm, and then you wrap this little fin piece around to the back of the arm, and it kind of just sits there on his arm. Go ahead and do that on the other side. There we go. So yeah, very nice. It's completely painted, or at least gives off the look of being completely painted, at least most of it. Because it has kind of like this glossy effect to it. Like the blue is definitely painted, black is definitely painted. I think the only parts on here that aren't painted are maybe like some of the joint parts, and I think some of this up here at the top of the torso. But everything else looks pretty good. But here we are. Let's get in close on the face. I think it looks pretty good. Accurate to the Toon model, accurate to the character. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go over articulation. This top part, I do know, like, when you're lifting stuff around and moving things around, these things like to come undone. The panel likes to lift up. It doesn't really, I mean, it cleans up decent, but when you're manipulating things, it kind of comes undone. But the head up here, it does rotate around on just kind of like a pin joint here. It is just kind of on a swivel here for his neck. You can get up, pretty much all the way. Shoulders can't go up at all, just because everything kind of untabs, but you can rotate here at the shoulder and get about 90 degrees. Come on, camera, please focus. And you can get all the way around, of course, at the shoulder. He rotates above the bicep, and you can get a double joint elbow because obviously he transforms, so he has a 180 degree bend at the elbow. His wrist, you can rotate that all the way around. And these are the exact same hands as what are on Brawl. So you have a wrist pivot here, in and out. You have a ball jointed thumb followed by a pin. And you have ball joints along all of the knuckles, and then a single pin on each of the fingers. Now, one thing that I have noticed, and you can kind of see it here, these pins aren't, like, they're too small for these holes. So when you're manipulating these fingers, just be careful because these pins like to fall out. And they would probably be an absolute nightmare to find if they do fall out and you end up losing them. So just be cautious of that. Here at the waist, you can of course rotate 360 degrees. It is ratcheted because that probably has to do with Bruticus's elbow. He does have an ab crunch, but it looks kind of funky, but it is there. He has the same hips, unfortunately, as all of the other ones. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So when everything is collapsed here, you can actually get all the way out. You can get back about that far, and you can't get forward at all. But it has a secondary joint in here, which does this crazy bend, like all the other ones have, where when you initiate it, you can get all the way forwards. But see how it kind of looks funky? I don't know how I feel about it, but when it is extended, I mean, you can get more articulation out of it, and You can get his leg to go all the way back. It's just a weird little joint. But I mean, it works for the purpose it's designed to. It just, I don't know if it looks the greatest. He does rotate above the thigh, but it's kind of limited by this panel here, so that's about all that you're getting there. He does have a double knee joint, but you're only gonna get, oh, not only, I mean, you get more than 90 degrees, which is pretty good. Get everything back how it was. The foot, no forwards and back on it, but this whole section here does kind of go in so that you can get an ankle rocker, which is good enough for me. So yeah, so there is Vortex. Let me clean them up a little bit and we'll do some size comparisons. All right, so size comparisons. Now, unfortunately, because of my temporary living situation, I don't really have too many things to show with him. So I only really have these guys. I have MP Megatron and I have Magic Squares Optimus. So you can see him with the 2 leaders. And I do have the other Combaticons out. Here he is with Brawl, and there's Swindle, and then here I'll put Onslaught in the back here. So there we go. We're just missing Blast Off, and then we will be able to combine and make Bruticus and have the whole team. All right, and that'll do it for Magic Square MS-06 Tornado, or their MP scaled Vortex. Yeah, I mean, he's a decent figure. He's definitely a little loosey-goosey in some spots. Like there's some tolerance issues, and like the chest doesn't quite tab together the best in the world, but I mean, he's not too bad to like mess with. He does have a pretty cool transformation, which I think he was probably the most difficult out of the bunch on the Legends versions of this set. So, but it does work pretty well for MP scale. I don't think it's nearly as frustrating as what the Legend scale was, and even the Legend scale one wasn't that bad. I do have some issues with kind of the pins on the fingers falling out. There is that problem where people have kind of snapped those panels off, but that's kind of just user error. If you're just careful with it, it should be fine. I'm still not the biggest fan of those hips or the way that Magic Square has been doing it. I mean, they work really well on Legend scale. I don't think they really translate the best for MP scale, unfortunately. But he looks really good in both modes. The paint is pretty nice. He's accurate. I mean, he's got decent articulation and everything. I mean, he's pretty damn good figure. I liked the Legend scale version, so I liked the Masterpiece scale version. And he goes really well with his partners. Of course, he's meant to, but I do quite like him. So solid recommend for me. Really looking forward to getting Blast Off so we can finally finish off this set, and we can make a big cartoon accurate MP Bruticus, which would be awesome. But of course, thank you so much for watching the video. If you made it this far, please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe to my channel. If you want to see any of my other previous reviews, there is a convenient little playlist on my channel that has all of my stuff. If you want to support me, you can do so either with the channel memberships, or you can sign up for my Patreon, which is linked in the description. That is meant, of course, more for my Armored Core and 3D printing side of what I do, but it is probably the best way to support me if you feel like doing so. But of course, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.